Welcome to Southeast News on Signature TV. Thank you for watching. I am Barry Kumo Ado. Headlines. ANSEC releases list of qualified candidates for local government election. Anambra State government to shut down unaccredited schools. When we come back, you'll hear more of these stories. The schools are set to resume September 17 for primary and secondary schools. The Anambra State government has cautioned about 2,000 schools that are operating without accreditation. State government has vowed to shut down any of these institutions if they fail to secure the necessary approvals and accreditation. Commissioner for Information Paul Mosu revealed on Thursday that these schools were identified as operating illegally across the state's 21 local government areas following a recent evaluation of accredited schools. He explained that schools without proper accreditation and approval are not meeting the standards set by the government through the Ministry of Education, which could negatively affect students' education. The government of Anambra is concerned that students and pupils, irrespective of their location in Anambra State, deserve the best learning environment, teachers, and curriculum. The state government has directed the affected schools to immediately seek accreditation and registration with the Anambra State Ministry of Education before school resumption or risk closure and other severe sanctions. Mosi also mentioned that the list of accredited schools will be shared with local government education departments via the Transition Committee Chairman for easier access. The final list of qualified candidates for the local government elections has been published by the Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission ANSEC ahead of September 28th Local Government Council Chairman and Ward Councillors election. The ANSEC Chairperson, Mrs. Genevieve Osakwe, who posted the list at the Commission's headquarters in Oka, has urged the candidates to begin their campaigns. She further stressed that the list is available for public viewing and promised Anambra residents that the election will be conducted in a free, fair, and credible manner. Still in Anambra State, the police command has summoned the President General of Enugu-Ukwu and his counterpart from Northia community, following growing tension in the areas over the gruesome murder of 3 youths from Enugu-Ukwu. Confirming the development, the State Police Public Relations Officer, Tochukwu Ikenga, said the command summoned the community leaders for a discussion aimed at preventing a breakdown of law and order. Recall that Signature TV had reported that some youths were seen making bonfires at strategic points in Enugu-Ukwu, as well as obstructing vehicles from passing through the community. Though tension appeared to have died down, feelers from the two communities still speak of heightened apprehension and low business activity due to fears of attacks which would escalate into a full-scale communal crisis. Commander, however, assured of increased security in the two communities as well as ongoing investigations that have yielded positive results, which the command promised to disclose in due course. The senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District, Victor Ume, says the National Assembly was working hand in gloves with the executive arm of government to ensure that the challenges faced by Nigeria are given prompt attention and resolved immediately. Ume stated this while contributing on Signature's morning show, a flagship program on Signature TV.
Been rising up to the occasion from time to time. In security, we have held a number of sessions with security chiefs, inviting them to appear before the Senate, either in a joint closed-door session or through oversight functions. When killings were on the rise in Nigeria, the first place to hear the voices of anguish has always been the Senate. And when we do this work, we go into finding ways to support the armed forces to be able to do their work effectively. We do that through approval of monies they need to be able to address these problems, holistically. Because every day you come to the Senate, there must be a point of order from one senator or the other, raising issues of national concern, matters of urgent national importance, and through that means they report very, very grave situations in their constituencies. The way people have been killed, the way people have been displaced, the way people have been maimed. So the first place you get this report to land has always been the Senate. And on the economy side, we've been very aggressive in taking those who manage the economy. We invite them, the governor of the central bank, the minister for finance, and coordinating minister of the economy. We deal with them through the various committees of the Senate.
The senator highlighted the need for synergy between the legislative and executive arms of government in addressing the socio-economic challenges facing the nation.
The President of Nigeria has brought to the Senate, seeking its approval, that the Senate ought to approve that. We have unreasonably withheld approval. We've approved all the appointments he has been bringing, even in some cases when people may have dissenting views in terms of balancing of these appointments. We always said, let him have those he needs to be able to govern well. Even his expectation, these are the people he finds that will help him drive the economy, drive the Nigeria, and according to his own vision, for us to have a prosperous nation. Have them. Then people will say, oh, we are rubber stamp. The Central Bank of Nigeria will bring matters before the Senate for consideration and approval. We approve. Go and drive their visions and all that, so that you do not blame the National Assembly.
Sympathizing with Nigerians over the worsening hardship in the country, attributed the situation to weak economic policies of past administrations.
Withdrawal of petroleum subsidy has been on. It didn't start in this 10th Senate. I was in the 8th Senate, and I know that between 2018 and 2019, if you were following the events at the Senate, you will always see me very vocally challenging some of these things going on. When the President Buhari brought a request for approval of promissory notes with which to pay debts that are accrued through the subsidy program, I was one of those who condemned the exercise, and I reasoned, not that the debts would not be paid, because there are debts Nigerian government is already owing, and the government was seeking for ways of liquidating the debts, and they decided to come by way of promissory notes that will have a long-term tenure, And I said at that time, I'm on record, both on television and everywhere, I said, we are not doing the right thing. If we continue to import petroleum products in the midst of the crude which God has given to this country, and we have had 4 refineries established in this country in the past years, and suddenly the 4 refineries were shut. If we don't do anything to reactivate those refineries, if we don't do anything to even attempt to build new refineries, that we are postponing the doomsday. The issue of withdrawal of petroleum subsidy has been on. It didn't start in this 10th Senate. I was in the 8th Senate, and I know that between 2018 and 2019,
That's the news for now on Southeast News. When we come back, we'll start with our conversations. Stay with us.
let us go back to our roots. This is our economy. We have our fuel. We have the natural resources. Yes. Why should I buy something I have at my backyard and paying higher than those who doesn't even have it in their own country? Can't you see? It's very, very alarming. So government should do something about. Tell the government, if you know any of those people, that we are dying.
The price of fuel before, by the time Buhari was there, it was 120 naira. This thing is something that we have in our getting in our country. I see no reason why we should not maybe have something like this. And somebody outside the country is maybe gaining it more than the people that the owners. So it's supposed to be 120 naira.
Normally, we are the producing of fuel, and in Nigeria, we all expected that the price should come down to before, like 150, 200. So that somebody that is going to work can be able to pay 200 naira, 50 naira, or 150 to go to work, respectively. If you bring it out like that way, it will be okay.
Let them go back to 200 when Jonathan was there. What nonsense is that? The fuel that we doesn't import fuel. Fuel is in our country here.
At least the normal price of the fuel is supposed to let it go down to the price of Buhari regime.
That price will be 500.
Welcome back. With the increase in the rate of crime in the country, with the downturn of the economy, one issue that pops up now and then is parental upbringing. What is it that we are missing? Why do we have more people who are easily lured into crime? Why can't we have more people that deter others from committing crimes? Is it the family that's the problem? Or is it that we have families that have decided that they will take to crime because the economy is bad, so to speak? But even in the midst of all these, we had a situation where within this week, we had a young man who was a Youth Corps member in Abia State who went about turning things around, who called 150 people and gave them a second chance as part of his CDS project. So, there are still some good stories, but let's hold that for now. With me in the studio is Gift Francis. I know you want to add to that, Gift Francis, but Gift, you're welcome to
Thank you.
Southeast News.
Thank you so much.
I still keep wondering why it's so easy for some youths to do drugs and some youths to take to crime. When in the Southeast, you have a large percentage of the populace who say they are Christians, which should automatically give a background of moral uprightness in terms of upbringing. Then you also have another group that each time when you talk about moral upbringing, they will tell you the traditional ways are better. Because in the olden days, when you stand to speak the truth, you will pull off your shoes or whatever, stand on the bare ground. And if you talk falsehood, the gods of the land will deal with you. So either as a Christian or as a traditionalist, righteous upbringing was a given. So why are we having a turnaround now?
Okay. I think I will start with the parents. Yes. Christianity, we know it is a religion. Yeah, it's a religion, but when you talk about lifestyle now, that is where so many people miss it. Globally, Christianity is regarded just as a religion, like a religious name, just like we have Islam, Judaism, all those religious sects in the world. So, but now when you talk about Christianity, just like you said, in the Southeast, it should be where we'll be able to see good morals amongst our youths. The problem is that so many of us missed it, even parents. I want to believe that, like, as a Christian, you know, apart from Christianity, there are different forms of parenting styles that so many Christian parents, they've like kept it by the side. You know, they just abandoned it to follow what I call their own personal style, or the way they perceive things, yeah, like in their own eyes. Are we together? So another thing is, when it comes to, I've said about parenting style and understanding with Christianity, what Christianity is all about. So I said something that Christianity has to do with lifestyle, a personal decision. Do you understand? So in this case now, we find out that many people are Christians, but they've not really encountered the person, that Christ that is in that name, Christian. Do you understand? And it affects, it reflects on the lives of our children. Reason, you can see some parents that are not even involved. They are Christians, they are so busy in terms of business, service in the church, that they barely have time for their children. I was once a victim, when my son was growing up, you know. So, but till one of the days, in fact, it was God that called my attention. Look at where you are lacking in the life of this child. I'm a Christian. I'm raising the boy in a Christian way, but there are certain things that has to do with communication, personal relationship with the children, that we parents will lag behind in that area. You understand? So in that case now, you're a parent. You assume that you're a Christian, you are already a Christian, and because you're a Christian, you expect the child to adopt those morals that you are teaching him or her. But in other words, there are better ways of communicating that lifestyle to children. That is where Christians are missing it. You understand?
So what are these better ways?
Yes. One, just like I mentioned something about parenting styles. You understand? There's what we call authoritative parenting, and there's an authoritarian parenting as well. And then we have permissive, and then we have uninvolved parenting. These are all forms of parenting. You get? So now, an authoritarian parent will always state clearly stated rules, like this is how this should be, this is how you must live your life and everything. Forgetting that these children, they are human beings that are they are so susceptible to influences in their environment. Peers, they are highly exposed to outside influences, outside the influence of the family. So in order to get these children, it's not just about stating roles. All these forms of parenting, it has effect on the child. In this case, you are like, some people will say, I'm a kinko, something like that. Like, you are a military person. This is how things should be in this house. Nobody should do this. You shouldn't stay out by this time. You shouldn't go out by this time. You understand where I'm coming from? Without relating with the child to understand actually what is going on in the mind of that child, what is happening in his world outside the family. This is one area. So there is a gap between the children and the parents. All you have, as a parent, you have already placed expectation on the child, which the child might not be meeting. And in such cases, like for some parents, which ends up in discipline. They will just discipline or punish the child. And I've come to understand, I've come to realize that sometimes spanking a child or beating a child doesn't really inculcate the desired moral. You as a Christian want that. That's why you see some of these Christian boys and girls. Once they reach certain level age, they just deviate completely. They choose their own way. They choose their own pattern because the parents really didn't play certain roles that they were supposed to play in the life of that child. So the basic thing is, even as a Christian, understand the workings, like the mindset of that child. You know, children are different. There's a child, when you shout at the child can easily stop or change or adopt. There are some child that shouting doesn't work on. It needs petting, it needs pampering, you understand. So when you understand the child, like my own son, I remember when he was growing up, sometimes I will shout. I will first of all talk to him. Okay, this is how we do this. And I discovered that he's the type, you will keep repeating a particular thing months, years. So I now adopted a style. Sometimes I won't just shout. I will just call him and sit him down. I will engage him in discussion, like as in we are talking friend to friend, like mother to child, so that he will become free with me. So I discovered that method started working much more than using cane, shouting on the child. So these days, I noticed that everything he's doing, he's just being conscious of doing something to make mommy happy. Without talking. Maybe before I come out, mommy, I've already done this. Or mommy, this person said this to me. Like, I saw him being free to discuss what happens outside there with me. Some of the things that naturally he might not want to open up. Like, I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. So basically, it's like these things that are happening in our society. One, it depends on the type of parenting style a parent is adopting, apart from being a Christian. So many of us, like I remember in my own case, when I was growing up, my mom, she's a very good Christian, but she was never there for us. She was never there for me. She's a businesswoman. So we know that 5 o'clock in the morning, mommy goes to shop. 10 p.m. in the night, mommy is back. She's a Christian.
So you have a field day.
Yeah. So in other words, like, I can live my life, do everything I want to do before she comes back. But the only thing I normally advise parents is, make sure that you plant that seed. Once you plant that seed will always remain. You know, no matter where the child, I'm talking from my own experience, no matter where the child, the community, the group, the place the child finds him or herself, as long as that seed has been planted there, the seed will sustain the child. One day it will germinate.
Now, when you have a situation whereby the parenting style didn't really work the way you anticipated it, what do you think will happen? How do you bring back this child if he has gone astray, maybe taken to drugs or taken to crime? How do you bring him back?
Okay. I normally like using myself as an example, even like anytime I have opportunity to teach them, because I know that I handle them, young adults. Yes, so anytime I have opportunity of talking with parents, I've come to realize that prayer works. I remember in my own case, like my child, there was a time, just like I told you, I was engaging him. Like I shouted, adopted every style, you know. So when I engaged him, you know, one of the days, I clearly had the Spirit of God telling me, always lay your hands to pray for this child. You know, initially I thought it was a joke. I wasn't serious about it. So I saw him misbehaving. That word came back again. Always lay your hands on him and always use the word, the Bible, to admonish this child. These two things, I adopted it. And the moment I adopted it, I began to see change. Like I came to understand, I realized that the word of God, using the word to admonish a child, has more effect. It's more effective than just sitting a child down to like rebuke a child, to beat the child. Do you get where I'm coming from? So in this case now, like I know that most of us, just like you said when we started, that in Christendom, it's as if that's where the worst is happening. Why? Because we have missed it. I'm using myself as an example. I wasn't used to sitting him down to start teaching him the word. But I know that I was being pressed in my spirit. Start doing this, start doing this. And the moment I started doing these two things, I saw a drastic change. So for a child that has gone far, just like you said, you should understand that, you know, in my dialect in Igbo, there's an adage that says that there's something. When you see somebody dancing, no, the person, something is playing music.
When you see somebody dancing,
yes,
someone that's beating the drum at the background.
Thank you, at the background. Understand what is beating the drum at the background for that child.
But now I said somebody was doing drug or into crime. So maybe drugs led him into crime or crime led him into drugs. How can parents bring back such youth?
Okay.
I know that there are some organizations established, yes, but I also do know that parental care can make that change happen.
Yeah, so and also, yes, just like you said, parental care, just like I gave instances of giving that child time and prayers, basically, they work. And then secondly, we have facilities, some rehab, I don't know about here in Nigeria, but I know that.
Yeah, rehab.
Yes, some rehab facilities where.
NDLA has rehab facilities.
Yes.
And some other organizations too.
Yes. So I also know that church can equally help. You understand? Yes, church. I have one of the young boys that got engaged with this drug stuff. You know, he became a hardcore drug addict, you know. So in that case, while I was talking with the mother, like, they thought that the best solution was to send the child abroad, you know. So these are like, I'm just giving at this instance to show that sometimes, like, it depends on the approach the parents adopt. You understand? Yeah. Firstly,
I recall you talking
yes,
about different parenting
yes.
styles.
So in that case, you're sending the child abroad. Now, are you sending the child abroad that the help that child needs is there? Or if that child, that's why you see some of them getting into drug pushing, like real drug business outside. So in other words, just like I said, adopting a different approach, best approach for that child. There's no child that doesn't have, there's no child, as long as that child is alive, that is hopeless. There's hope in every situation. So firstly, changing approach, and secondly, you can seek help from counselors. There are people that can do better than you, you know. Then seeking help from some of the rehab facilities, just like we said, and some religious organizations like churches, and then prayers as well. I think with these things, it can really help in rescuing a child that has really been taken.
Thank you very much, Gift Francis. But before you go, you've told us, you mentioned about 4 methods of parenting, yeah, but we only started with one, and then you just mention them and explain them so that people will understand that there are different methods, one goal, how to make the child the best.
Okay. All right. I said initially authoritarian. Yes. And I mentioned authoritative as well, and permissive, and also the last one is uninvolved parents. Now, I said something about an authoritative parent. Sorry, an authoritative parent. So in this case, an authoritative parent, like in that family, there are stated rules, but there are levels of permission. You understand? It's not as thick as that of an authoritative, sorry, that of an authoritarian. So in an authoritarian family, like, it's like a military house where you don't go against rules. You don't even make that mistake, because a mistake attracts heavy discipline. And discipline there is seen as punishment, not as a means of supporting or correcting the child in an authoritarian family. So in an authoritative family, yes, there's no room for that level of friendliness. You understand? there are expectations. The child already understands the expectations, what he or she is expected to do from the parents to avoid punishment or to avoid the wrath of the parents. You understand? Then in permissive parenting style, this is a situation where a level of freedom is given to the child. The parent gives the child a level of freedom. The child is, that's why you see some of them, mommy, I want to eat cheese. I want to eat burger. Like the child makes demands because he or she is free with the parents. You understand? And in this case, there is a level of confidence that is built in the child. The child is free. You know, the child can relate. The child, like, it builds this socialistic, like, lifestyle in the child. Because the child sees the parents as a friend and they can communicate with the parents. You understand? So that's permissive parenting style. And one of the effects of this, just like I said, that it makes the child sociable. He or she can socialize and can adapt anywhere. You understand? But sometimes there are excesses. Because the children can become over-demanding. They can become selfish, self-centered, not understanding the situations like of other children or what is actually happening out there. Then the last one is the uninvolved parenting style, where the parents are not really involved. The children are left to like build themselves, teach themselves, grow up themselves, but the parents will be supplying the basic needs. They will pay your school fees. They pay the child's school fees. They make sure they are sheltered. There's shelter and everything the child needs. But when it comes to communicating morals, communicating skills, like playing the role of a parent, they are not really there. And in such case, the child grows up as an independent being. And in that case, the outside world influences the child.
Thank you very much, Gift. I need to say thank you very much for coming on. And I want to trust and believe that I have learned something in terms of parenting. I want to believe that opportunities are given to children to grow to become better adults than their parents, because nobody wants their child to be worse than they are. Yeah. So thank you for coming on to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. So please, as a parent, always use the word of God. That's my final word. And make sure you introduce your child to Christ. At least let the child know who this person of Jesus is. That's the basic thing. Every parent, in fact, the most important gift every parent should give to his or her child. At the end of the day, it speaks. I'm a living testimony. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you too. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're taking a break now. When we come back, we'll go to Anambra, where NCEC has released a list of candidates for various political parties. But one party is saying they need to go to court. Find out.
Let us go back to our roots. This is our economy. We have our fuel. We have the natural resources. Yes. Why should I buy something I have at my backyard and paying higher than those who doesn't even have it in their own country? Can't you see? It's very, very alarming. So government should do something about it. Tell the government, if you know any of those people, that we are dying.
The price of fuel before, by the time Buhari was there, it was 120 naira. This thing is something that we have getting in our country. I see no reason why we should go maybe have something like this. And somebody outside the country is maybe gaining it more than the people that are the owners. So it's supposed to be 120 naira.
Normally, we are the producing of fuel. And in Nigeria, we all expected that the price should come down to before, like 150, 200. So that somebody that is going to work can be able to pay 200 naira, 50 naira, or 150 to go to work, respectively. If you bring it out like that way, it will be okay.
Let them go back to 200 when Jonathan was there. What nonsense is that? The fuel that we doesn't import fuel fuel is in our country here.
At least the normal price of the fuel is supposed to let it go down to the price of Buhari regime.
That price will be 500.
Of course, I did say that we'll go to Anambra State, where ANSEC has released a list of candidates who are going to stand for election on the 28th day of September. The list shows mainly ABGA with scanty names from other political parties. But Labour Party is saying they are in court and that they do not expect that party candidates' names should have been on that list. Online, not in the studio, unfortunately, the Secretary of Labour Party in Anambra State, John Okolie-Akrika, is a lawyer. Hello, John.
Hello, thank you there. Our listeners out there, we welcome you to this program. We want to urge you to listen attentively. You get abreast of the legal and political issues and unfolding in the scheduled Anambra State local election that will take place on the 28th of September 2024. We are going to tell you what the position of the Labour Party is.
Hello, John. Hello, John. Hello, John. John, can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay, if you can hear me, I have introduced you, and I need to know the position of Labour Party concerning the candidates that were released under the names of the list by ANSEC as Labour Party members. That's one. And two, the position of Labour concerning the election. Well,
The position of the Labour Party regarding the general election is very simple. Our position is this, that in view of the lawless nature of the Anambra State Electoral Law 2024 that has been amended twice, the conduct of ANSEC, that is Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission, so far, the Labour Party has no scintilla of interest, no scintilla of regard, no scintilla of confidence in ANSEC to conduct a free, fair, and credible election. Because the pedestal, that is the law, upon which the election will be, is intended to be conducted, is flawed in all ramifications. And Labour Party as a party went to court to challenge some essential sections of the said Anambra State Electoral Law 2024 as variously amended. And we are saying, to that extent, and for that reason, the Labour Party as a political party is not, in capital letters, is not participating in the conduct of the election. And so far, it has come to us as a very big surprise that ANSEC is purporting to have the names of some people in some local governments purporting to be candidates nominated by Labour Party. Nothing can be further from truth and reality. I want INEC to be guided, ANSEC to be guided by their own timetable / schedule of activities. And I want to urge everybody to feel free, go to ANSEC and ask them, please show us the documents with which political parties, especially Labour Party, purportedly conducted their party primaries. Show us the documents or show us the evidence that Labour Party actually made nominations. We want to know, because electoral business is conducted via documents. Electoral processes are not conducted in the air. If you go through ANSEC timetable and schedule of activities, it is very clear. They said 27th August 2024, submission of political parties register of members. Please, feel free. Let the listeners out there go to ANSEC or go to their website, if they have any, to find out if Labour Party as a party submitted the so-called register as mandated by ANSEC. And again, item 7 in their timetable and schedule of activities says that political parties shall conduct their nomination exercise scheduled for 24th to 27th August 2020. Please, my dear listeners out there and the operators of this region, please call ANSEC or go to ANSEC. Demand for evidence to show that Labour Party or even any party at that, including APGA, conducted political party nomination exercise between 24th to 27th August as published by ANSEC. I'm quoting their own timetable, so you can feel free to go and verify. So it is really surprising that ANSEC is the timetable. It's if ANSEC does not have anything to show that political parties submitted their register, that the political parties conducted party primaries, that political parties submitted list of candidates, yet ANSEC is proceeding to go and conduct the election. You can see that this is a clear case of people trying to engage in acts of illegality and in acts of utility. See, so please, in the absence of party nominations, in the absence of party primary, which by electoral law are conditional precedent, can INEC can ANSEC in good faith and in good conscience conduct a free, fair, credible, and legal election? The obvious answer is no. So you can see that the decision of Labour Party to boycott that election is predicated on very sound, tenable, and legal grounds.
Hello, John.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you are in court saying that you are not going to be part of the election.
Certainly we are. And I can give you the suit number. The suit is marked, suit number A/265/2024 between Labour Party as the plaintiffs and the one Anambra State House of Assembly, first defendant, Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission, ANSEC, second defendant. As a matter of fact, the matter came up in court on the 3rd day of September, was adjourned to today. Because of the exigency and peculiar circumstances of electoral matters, which we all know are sui generis, and that time is of the essence. The court decided to hear all the vacation, but unfortunately today, the court didn't sit, and that they have written the Chief Judge of Anambra State to assign the court, to assign the matter to a regular court, so that you can go there to let the public know that the Anambra State electoral law, though I don't want to term them sub-judicial, that the Anambra State electoral law is a subject of litigation before a court of competent jurisdiction. And also to let people know that notwithstanding the independence of the litigation, ANSEC is not even complying with their own regulations. ANSEC is not even complying with their own enabling legislation. Because if ANSEC had a timetable that stated events and dates of events, and those events never took place, and ANSEC is purporting to proceed to conduct the election, everyone can now see that with the greatest respect and deference to the electoral body, that they are engaging in what I may call an act of, a very dubious physical act that cannot stand the test of legality.
So, can you tell us some of the things you are seeking in that lawsuit? What are some of the things you want in that lawsuit?
Okay, what you are claiming is very clear. I can give a synoptic analysis of what you are saying. Without necessarily discuss the merits of our case, because we all know very well that the matter having been submitted before a court of competent jurisdiction now become sub judice. So it will be contemptuous on my own part, to speak, to make a conclusive comment regarding, some aspects of the case. But I can say, look at what we are asking the court to do. I can say, look at our reasons for asking the court to do those things. But I cannot tell you whether we're going to succeed or whether we're going to fail or what the court, but I can give an insight into what we are claiming and why we want the court to make those declarations and orders.
That's what I asked. That's what I asked. Just give us an idea of
our case.
Yes.
Our case in court involves some declaratory reliefs. It also has some injunctive reliefs and also has some mandatory orders. We are asking the court in terms of declaration. Labour Party is saying that the relevant law when it comes to issue of procedure, that one is very clear. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that. Section 150 of the Electoral Act is very, very clear.
Okay. So now, why Labour Party waits? I said, now that you are going to wait for when the main issues will begin to take, that's the main parties to the suit, will begin to take their various positions in court. What would Labour Party be doing in the meantime?
What we're doing in the meantime is what we're doing advocacy to sensitize Nigeria, India, in particular, and Nigerians as a whole, as to why we are saying, let us go by due process. Let us play the game by the rules. Let us ensure that whatever we do, we must be accountable to the law. Whatever we do must not detract from the demands of legality. That's what we're going to do. And that is exactly part of this program. And I want to thank your session for taking our time and finding it worthy to reach out to indigenous of Anambra State, especially Labour Party, to find out what actually is happening. So we want to engage in advocacy to let people know the true position of our affairs. Like I said before, we are saying that some sections of Anambra State electoral law, which was made in 2024 June, between 2024 June to August 2024, a total of barely 2 months. That law has suffered 2 amendments. Why? Just to accommodate the peculiar circumstances of Africa. This is not done that way. The law has to be for everybody. The law is not meant to take care of, the fate that's been involving Africa as a political party. And that's the Labour Party is saying, no, that is not correct. Let the court come in. And our very first relief in court is to say that Section 23 of the Anambra State Electoral Law 2024 as variously amended is unconstitutional, is illegal, because it contravenes some sections of the Electoral Act, specifically Section 28. That is our claim. That Anambra State law says that ANSEC shall give initially they said 60 days. Later they said 30 days. We said no. We said no. That the Electoral Act, Section 24, says we shall give 360 days. So it is not for the court to determine whether the law is in accordance with the Electoral Act and the Constitution, or whether the law will pass the test of due process. But so far, that is our claim in law. That is our claim in court. Our claim is that law is illegal, that law cannot stand in the face of the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Constitution. It's not left for the court to determine whether the Labour Party is right or wrong. That's their position. We also say that the Anambra State House Assembly was wrong when they enacted in their section 24, subsections 4, 11, and 12, trying to use legislative powers to say certain things. We are saying no, you can't do that. And when you want to talk about political party administration, whether PDP or ABGA or Labour Party or SDP, that the Constitution has said that it is only the National Assembly that can make laws. And the section of the court is section 228 of NTF. You can go out there. So I got this question so that people can now find out why Labour Party is going to court. We are saying that the Constitution has said matters of party primary, matters of internal democracy, matters of submission of list of candidates shall be legislated upon by the National Assembly. Anambra State Assembly said no. We want to make law. And in our law, either a state party chairman, either House Assembly, National Assembly, it's really funny, can submit list of candidates. Well, you can't do that. Because the Constitution has said that this particular legislative duty is the exclusive reserve of National Assembly. And to that extent, Anambra State cannot legislate. So it is left for the court to determine at the end of the day whether what Labour Party is saying is right or wrong. But that is our case in court. We are also saying that certain aspects of the Anambra State law, like section 25, subsection 1B, is also contrary to the Electoral Act and the Constitution, because the Electoral Act has already made provisions in that regard. And the law is very clear that in a federal system like ours, certain things are left for the National Assembly, for the federal government. Certain things are left for both the National Assembly and the State Assembly. And certain things are exclusively reserved for the State Assembly. And when the National Assembly completely make law, if they completely make laws regulating procedure for conduct of election, it is no longer within the ambit or within the legislative competence of the Law Assembly to now go on to make a law that is in conflict, that is incompatible, that detracts or infracts the provision of either the Constitution or the Electoral Act. The Anambra Assembly is purporting to have done that, and Labour Party is saying no, you can't do that. The Electoral Act has made a provision. Another historic aspect of the law we are contesting is what happens when, in the course of election, there are some issues. The Electoral Act says if, in the course of election, especially at the point of collection of results, maybe counting, entering figures in executive forms, and the announcement of results, because normally that's why the issues. If an issue crops up and the presiding officer, Electoral Commission cannot continue with the election, the best thing to do is to suspend the election to avoid danger of law and order. That's what the Electoral Act said. But the law now said, no, don't suspend. Please, take the election, take it to any part, take it to anywhere in the local government, even if it means taking it to the house of Abga chairman or Abga, just take it to anywhere. The result there. That is repugnant to common sense. And we're saying, we can't do that. Look at what the Electoral Act said. You or your own cannot propose to enact a law to the from that. So at the end of the day, it's left for the court to decide whether we are right or whether we are wrong.
All right, then.
Section is, no, it has a feature of sections.
Hello, John.
So that's why I'm happy.
Hello.
That we have found the opportunity to engage in advocacy. So
Hello.
people now know why Labour Party is saying, I'm not participating in this election.
Hello,
Please
John.
Put your house in order. If you don't put your house in order, you don't comply with the requisite law as provided in the Electoral Act and the Constitution, we shall not be a party to acts of illegality.
Hello, John.
Yes.
I need to say thank you very much. John Okoli-Akrika is the Secretary of Labour Party in Anambra State. Thank you for being on Southeast News on Signature TV. And we'll keep...
Thank you so much. And I hope and pray that as circumstances and occasions may warrant, you keep calling us, you keep engaging us, so that keep telling you what is happening. Not just for the interest of Labour Party, but but for the interest of democracy and the generation of Nigerians.
We are here for the interest of democracy, not for any particular party. So thank you very much, and I wish you the best of today.
Thank you.
Well, that's how far we can go on this edition of Southeast News. Tomorrow is another day. We have a bigger conversation then. Till then, Barik Mado was my name.